And just like that, it's time for the 9th episode of The Good, The Bad, The Rugby South Africa, a show that belongs to me, to the two gentlemen there, and to you watching or listening wherever you are. Welcome and enjoy the show with us. We've got a couple of things to discuss because we're Rugby Championship champions, gents. I mean,
champ to champ.
The first time ever that there's a team holding back-to-back World Cups, Rugby Championship, Lions Series, the Freedom Cup, the Madiba Shield, plate, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Why do you start, when you start chatting, why does your voice go deeper?
It has.
Welcome to the good and the bad and the rugby.
Who doesn't do that?
Why are you wearing a collared shirt under a rugby jersey?
Off to work after this. I need to work.
Don't lie, you're not going to work.
There's our suits.
Gentlemen, let's get stuck into the rugby over the weekend. Another good weekend for the Boks, back to winning ways. We said it last week that there isn't too much to concern ourselves with taking the RGs to Mbombela. Now I'm self-conscious about my deep voice.
He's got you.
Yeah, he's got me in my head now.
In your head. Sorry, Russell.
Exactly. Gentlemen, let's talk about the rugby over the weekend. The Boks, a good start. Got off to a good lead again. Felipe Contepomi said we're not going to come back from 17 points in South Africa, and they didn't. And as the honey badger who's on one of the photos here at the back said, it's like that boy that fell out of the tree. He just wasn't in it anymore. And I must say, I don't think the RGs were ever in it. Am I wrong, Scala?
No, what blows my mind is Gcobani Bobo purposely put a picture up here of himself being here at Rondebosch, showing off.
We get it. You went to Rondebosch.
You are their pride and joy.
This is legendary space, but we only invite royalty here.
Only royalty.
You guys are lucky. I gave you the little bit of kudos. Come in and let's have a chat. But besides that, no, it was good times, man. At Rondebosch, Dylan Stenford, the one man that we shared everything. We played sevens. We played together. We shared everything, the meaning of the sport.
Okay.
So from rugby,
not everything.
Not everything, not like that. But from rugby to commentary, you know what I mean? And Dylan does a bit of world rugby stuff. So just to have those memories, it's years ago.
Well, rugby on this weekend. What is interesting is, once again, the South African public. We love the Springboks to bits. We are so passionate about rugby. But last week it was like,
geez, we get down quick.
It is unbelievable.
Yes, we get down quick.
We would have changed the whole attitude towards the Springboks. Would have been different. Not just that kick, but a lot of different things. But how amazing was this weekend? From the word go, the intensity we played with, the freedom, how clever was it that Rassi took the kicking responsibility off Marnie? Just a phenomenal talent. And the way the ball was spread across, how the questions we asked on attack, the intensity we defended with. It was just a beautiful... That first scrum was actually the best part of the game.
Yeah.
When you see a Tated touching the stars and almost his head being pushed up his pupil.
We're going to have to subtitle pupil for someone.
Yeah, so it was just, the crowd was amazing, the atmosphere was amazing, and the intensity the boys played with was just hard to compete with. And for me, the way we played with Argentina, how we took them wide, then took them being physical with a set piece, it is a tough side to play against. And for me, it was, as a couch potato now, watching the boys, just so proud. And then with Eben becoming the most capped Springbok of all time. And then even better than that, it was seeing how Sia spoke about Eben and the friendship they've got, and the friendship within the side, and the love I feel for the brothers they have, not just them, but the team. It's beautiful to watch.
The funniest chat for me was from Jaden Hendrickson. Yeah. He said when he was 11 years old, he was watching Eben and thinking how amazing it is, and now he's there for him breaking the record. You know, when someone starts saying that and you're in the team, you start thinking to yourself, what the hell am I doing here? You know?
Time to go.
But for me, it was the response from the Springboks to put a performance that is deserved of someone who has sacrificed so much. It's 128 days where, I know it's going to sound as if I'm not appreciating this, but it's 128 days where he's away from his family, doing his sacrifices to make sure that he can get a good performance so that he can get invited again. It's your country bestowing the faith and belief in you for 128 times. It's you coming up from the negativity that happens. It's you facing up after a 57-0. It's you taking slack from whatever happens outside of that environment. But then you consistently face up to the brutal facts, and then you understand that you have to perform every week in, week out. And to Eben, congratulations. It's an amazing
The one thing that people that is just like me now, couch potatoes, don't understand is the sacrifice that Eben has to have, or not just Eben, is from most athletes, is the sacrifice that you have to put in to become a world-class athlete. Secondly, the sacrifice of your family. Now, a kid or kids with multiple athletes. And so people that say that athletes are paid too much, they must go and have a look. And you can only sort of understand the sacrifice people have to pay or make to get where they are when you walk in their feet or in their shoes, as they say, not in their feet, in their shoes.
There you go.
So then you only understand the whole process. And then after you're done, the sacrifice after that, the sore bodies, the operations that athletes have during their career, they don't understand it because that compounds over time. And so it is just wonderful.
Just mentally.
I really appreciate it. Something that happened as Eben went onto the field and his baby and his wife with him. And I thought to myself, that's something we didn't see back in the day. You wouldn't see, it's almost the plaudits go to the player.
Yeah.
And what I feel with what they're doing now is there's a lot of support for the families as well. Saw it with the World Cup. It's so cool to see that this guy he's ready to go to war and he's ready to park it all in 5 minutes. But the moment that he shared with his daughter and his wife to walk onto the pitch, and it's the Eben 128 burning, crowds losing it, it's such a special moment. My question, how do you, for kickoff, how do you park everything? Because you can't take anything on the field with you. The moment the whistle goes, you're in there. How do you make that switch? How do you do it?
I reckon most athletes do that.
Yeah.
Because you have to look at it like this. As an athlete, being on that pitch is almost like the place where you can escape everything. So it doesn't matter. Like there could be all things burning, your house is burning at the back, whatever, it's happening. But then they give you a chance to play a game. Because you can get away and focus on something that you do so well, that you're so comfortable of doing. It's your solace, it's your place of comfort. It's where you can really express yourself. Everything else sort of switches off.
Now look, Usain Bolt, he's making the jokes beforehand. The great athletes and the average athletes, the difference is just a switch. So, but it has been done previously. Jean de Villiers, Brian Abana, Monty, all the guys that I can now remember, they all brought their kids onto it. So it's not something new, but the question is posed. But it's like, watching kids, like I watch my boys under 12 provincial tournament. The kids from the morning.
Are they that good already?
No, so the point is, everybody's like so serious before the game because they think you have to be serious from you wake up. You can't smile. You have to.
Exactly.
The thing is the capability to make that switch from being calm and collected, and then you get onto that pitch, and then it's when you cross that white line, irrelevant. One of my coaches always said, when you cross that white line, then it's war. Before that, just calm because you're wasting your energy.
And at the same time, Scala, you have to think about it when you make mistakes. So when you make a mistake, how to get over and next task, right? And if you don't have that mentally sort of locked in as a person or as an individual who's playing and is expected to perform, then that's when things sort of get blurred. Because you're supposed to know that if I make a mistake, I'm on to the next one. Similar thing. Okay, cool. This, I know it's going to happen. I'm going to walk out with my kids. So now it's a matter of that, using that and turning it into motivation and saying, I can't let those two down.
Yeah.
I can't let those two down. They all came out here. I can't let those two down. I mean, that's your family. That's your family name. That's your legacy. That's your heritage. That's everything that you believe in. So I think, to me, talking back to the game, for me, what was quite impressive about this game was how the Springbok team decided that no matter what the world is saying about them, they're going to look at themselves and take out, okay, these are the facts. Yes, the kick missed, but that is not the case. Look at these opportunities that we had. Look at how they were playing. Look at this defensive sort of plays that we made, mistakes we made, opportunities where we could have scored. We're going to take that upon us to fix it, and we're going to keep the faith, unwavering faith in what is our end goal is. And the end goal was to have a clear performance where there is no kick that is supposed to define what this contest was about.
What was nice is we could have gone back to a very conservative style of rugby, as mauling, driving mauls, scrumming, just kicking. But for me, it's a group that is keep on evolving and believing in their structures. Still trying different things, like the front around with Damien, that didn't work. But the thing is, they're still trying. What normally happens with losses, you go back to things, revert back to when the pressure is a lot, revert back to what you knew worked beforehand. And for me, it's they still had a proper go. They still threw the haymakers and the punches.
I mean, how's that line out? I can't believe you didn't talk about the line out when Eben just chucks it over his head.
That is schoolboy stuff,
I'm sitting back, I'm going to myself like, oh my word, this is
You would not.
I love this.
What is amazing is where I see, if you look at Eben, and not just them, but I'm mentioning him now because it's most cap, but it's relevant. But what did you always see from Eben? He was just carrying it up, making the hard yards. Now this weekend is like, normally how do you defend Eben? You put 2 or 3 guys on top of him. This weekend he was playing out of the back, doing the tip passes. So from that perspective, we become a more complete team by shifting the ball, not just being a one-trick pony, hitting it up. And for me, that is very hard when you're on the other side, when you're defending. How do you analyze any team when they move the contact point? So they came onto the ball, and I must say with Marnie, not just Marnie, but the momentum that the pack gave, secondly with Marnie running onto the ball, spreading it, doing kicks that Flav shouldn't be doing.
The no-looker cross kick in the 15 yards. Like 15 meters.
Hot pull off.
I mean, it is. And then you give it to the one person who's got the most disgusting feet in the world.
Exactly.
My goodness.
That guy, they always say he can step in the phone booth, but that guy could step in a corridor.
Yeah. Or jump over you.
Oh, my goodness.
The way he cuts back is just insane.
So for me, the what's nice about this team is how selfless they are.
Yeah.
I mean, for players who have so much experience, they can think on how to change the game for the benefit of the team. That's what selfless means to me. You know what I mean? Because this person, this is what we know about this person. This is what has had him as a first name on the book. But then you see a Peter Steph willing to stand out wide on the edges, whilst you know he's all about action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that he knows the role that he plays. And what I like too was the fact that Rusty didn't shy away about the money incident. He took it on. And he said that it's not just money's fault.
Yeah.
We have to find a way to fix it up for him, which now takes so much pressure away from all the other players. Because for me, what was going to be the biggest thing, which other player will have trusted the management and the coaching staff if they had let him go? I mean, in our days, we would have been laughed off and carried out within the bloody wheelbarrow and then never be seen again, and then find you 40 years down the line sipping on that beer for the last little drop. And they did that to me, type of thing. And this time around, everyone is like, you come up and you attack one of us, you're attacking all of us, and at the same time, no one will be left behind.
Wat gaf je de toy?
Even Dave van Nusselen, I mean, I made that sort of interjection when I was being asked in the public. And I said, I mean, even Dave will sort of attest to this. It still scars him, that test, because he never had a chance to sort of get another go at it. And I guess that's what life sometimes is like. But if you can do that to someone, give him another chance, put the faith back into them, and make sure that they believe in what they are capable of, I think we're in a much better space.
Yeah. Schalk, can you elaborate? You mentioned Gaffie de Tooy and his name popped up a couple of times in the week. Elaborate on why you mention him.
I just thought of exceptional talent that made me think about last week's podcast with Brian Abana. Because every athlete, you can't always be on 100%. You sometimes fluctuate like this. That's just performance. And so I was thinking about Brian saying to, or Peter saying to Brian, look, you don't have a choice. I'm picking you. And I know you're going through a purple patch, but I believe you're good enough. And sometimes it's just that one time a coach just tells you when you're going through a purple patch, Scala or Bobes, you're amazing. Just keep on doing. You'll come out of it. Because when you're in that hole, it feels very alone. And luckily, it looks like in this group, there's never anyone that's being left behind.
Transparency is key, man.
Yeah, 100%. That is exactly it.
There's nothing worse when someone comes underneath the post, you just conceded a try, and then everyone goes, come on, boys, don't miss your tackles. But they know exactly who they're talking to.
Yeah.
So you sitting there going, did everyone else see it? Instead of saying, you know what, I can't see that from you again, Bobs. I expect better. Now I take it upon myself that it's out of the way. It's no longer lingering around me what everyone else is thinking. It's just being honest, being brutally honest and putting out the facts that, you know what, this is the standard, you're not up to the standard. And if we all know about it, it's a much better situation than having to have people walking around the corridor going, he's calling him, he's picking him again, type of thing. So for me, I think we are learning so much and we're growing so much as a team. And we have to give the credit where it's due to the management because they have to enforce that environment.
Put yourself in the, as Scala says, put yourself in the feet of Rassie Erasmus. At what point in the week, and I mean, you were both there, you were in those rooms making those decisions, having those discussions. At what point in the week did Rassie, Marnie, Jaden, Cheslin, whoever, say, Jaden, you're going to be handling the kicking for us this morning, this afternoon, on Saturday, whenever it was? When would the decision have been made, and how was that decision made?
I think it's a decision that was probably one of those that the Springboks were sort of had it in mind from the start of picking a guy like Jaden Hendrickse. Because if you've seen what he's done at Glenwood at school, what he has done at the Aces schools, baby box, he's always kicked for post. Him and Sanele Noamba played as a 9-10 combination because of what their capabilities are. They almost have that same sort of mindset and even style of play as the French scrum halves, where they can play either 9 or 10. All his life, he's already had that. Maybe he doesn't kick as a first choice kicker at his home union at the Sharks at the moment, but you knew what that player is capable of. And research has been done that this guy is the type of guy. And another thing, Jaden's a dog.
He is.
He is a proper dog. He's one of the most competitive. I mean, you can see by the way that he sort of gives stick and lip to the referees, the way that he's sort of consistently giving it to the opposition. He's a proper dog. So
like a George Gregan kind
of. So if we chuck pressure to that guy, he's one of those, oh, please, I want more. You know, so that's the kind of guy you can back without even having seen him kick at that level, which when he did it, I mean, he wasn't too bothered, was he? He just kicked the kick, ran back.
Well, don't ask me. I'm the hooker.
Okay, but let me ask you this question. You're a hooker. 80% of your job, 90% of your job is throwing the ball into the lineout.
Yeah.
If someone comes up to you and says, Scala, lineouts aren't working, we're going to have Cheslin throw the ball into the lineout this week, what goes through your head?
No, they did move me to 8. Take the puncher.
Was it for scrapping or lineouts?
Both.
So you actually never
just vibes. Scala just brought vibes to the team.
A rugby player.
I was just there to represent the numbers.
I was about to say, no one trusted you with enough responsibility to take anything away from you.
Just get in.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to, and while watching the game, I thought, because once again, referring to the rugby I saw on the 12 and at schoolboy level, you see a lot of people complaining, bitching and moaning behind the post, or players having a proper go at each other on the rugby pitch. The one thing that rugby is, there is a next job, but what people should take from watching the Springboks is, I've not seen through this whole competition people having a go at each other on the rugby pitch. It is next task, what done is done, and at the end of the game, they go, you actually have to go back to the mirror and go, Have I given my all? Have I earned the respect of my teammates and my coach and everybody that watched this particular game? So I wish the one thing kids can take out of that, and definitely parents, is stop bitching and moaning next to the pitch and stop bitching at your teammates and just get on with the next job, because no one misses a tackle purposely. No one throws in the ball skew or makes mistake on the pitch. You want to perform. You want to be better. And so for me, that example, that was one of the other highlights that I've seen. I know it went well this weekend, but even last weekend, not during that whole 80 minutes, although people were moaning, you didn't see that when Mane kicked the ball directly out. You didn't see the team go, oh, fuck, Mane, just kick it out. We want to maul and score try. They just get on, okay, sorry, you made a mistake. Let's crack on with it. And they know that he didn't kick it out purposely.
What was lucky about the game is afterwards, the cameras kind of stayed on the players as they made their way around. And probably the same guys that were spitting all sorts of venom on Instagram in the week were the same guys patting Mane on the back, taking selfies, saying, Mane, thank you so much, welcome back.
It's such a fickle world, isn't it?
It really is.
Especially when it comes to fans and all of that, which is important because we're passionate about this game and it means a lot to us. We are supposed to have and go through emotions. But I guess it's the ones with the most level-head people that will always have the benefit of not going down the rabbit hole. Where now last week you were like keyboard warrior, and now this week you have to be like, because no one ever says sorry, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be like, I knew he could do it. Look at this, it's all
He's
happening.
back.
But for me,
Mane's back.
It's
back
one
again.
it's one of those things where you have to be a bit sober-minded when you make your sort of calls. Yes, you can call something that is a mistake that is done, but it doesn't make it a personal vendetta attack to the personality, to the person, to the whole sort of human being. It's just made a mistake. It doesn't change the price of bread, right? It doesn't change if the sun is going to rise tomorrow and all of that. So that's, if you're going to be that person who consistently has your highs, you're definitely going to have more lows. Like, you know what I mean? So just stay even kilt, man. And look at it for what it is, because the next day we carry on.
You know what I did miss? One of the first times I did miss rugby was not the game itself. Was
You're
that
thinking about the party?
the fines meeting afterwards. Because that must have been
a long one.
Look, those boys are amazing guys.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing group to be part of. But that fines meeting and that celebration afterwards, I could say, well, that's the first time since 2019 that we won.
A full TRC, where we have actually played home and away, which sets it up for a big one next year.
So that night
must have been
and the hotel must have been an absolute cracker, because how it normally works is you finish a game, and so wives, girlfriends, and kids stay out, and it's just a team environment where you give each other banter. If someone played a new test cap, there would have been a welcome to the squad kind of thing, and then it's fines for the whole trip.
The whole week. And
let me ask you this, Bobs, from your playing days.
Yeah.
What was your favorite fines meeting? What test do you remember that was just the fines meeting just kept?
I don't know if the fines meeting for me,
yeah,
when I was a player, I won't lie, I used to.
I'm waiting for this.
I know. It's gonna be honesty too. I used to enjoy them. First of all, let's just say that I didn't mind downing a beer. Could do it well.
What?
You can skull a beer quickly.
We'll figure it out there.
So anyone that sees Bobs for night up, please ask him to skull a beer for you.
Stop drinking. That's my disclaimer. And I used to use them as a warm-up. It depended how hot it was. It meant that my night was going to go longer or shorter. So most of the time, I used to use that as a good get-me-up. I remember the first time I got my cap. It was still the old school boys. So it was the Connie Crickers, the US and all of that. So I have to make sure that his glass was full. So I was quite persistent, and I made sure that his glass was full until I was told to F off. Like, get away from me, getting me drunk. So I was like, good shot. Because you have to do your job so
That's
well
the job.
that someone else can just tell you to get
Yeah.
off. So that's what I did.
So the new guys keep the beers full.
Yeah.
Everyone has to have a full beer when they sit there, or as soon as it drops to a certain level, new one.
Yeah.
And it's and sometimes on like province to when you travel for your province, it is dress ups. So in Australia, we normally go on the Thursday. We go get the fancy dress, and then if there's a particular theme that you have to, and it goes absolutely crazy. Normally it's so during the trips it's quite calm, and then of course the last trip, the last game, before you fly back or wherever for breakup, that is when everybody goes.
Berserk.
Yeah.
Enjoys
bananas.
themselves.
It goes bananas. We had an S theme once, and I was so lazy to go and do the dress up. Not that I was lazy, I just had a big night. I just could not wake up. And I just wrapped the sheet and I got some handcuffs. That was me out.
What was the fines meeting Kontiki like after 2019 after the final?
There was no fines. It was just one proper piss up celebration of a magnitude that I've never experienced, and it didn't stop. It's like till 5 o'clock in the morning, and then eventually the wives not at 5 o'clock the wives joined, but everyone was just having such a great time. And then of course you wake up, all the guys start knocking on your door at 7, 8 o'clock, and then you off again. Then you go to the World Rugby Awards, still
hanging,
hanging, but you wake up with another beer,
Yeah.
and then off you go again. So it was like 2, 3, 4 days, and then it's a celebration tour that was probably even harder than the World Cup itself. I mean, that to keep on going for that magnitude, and every time, what was amazing about it is every town or every city you went to, there was a new kind of energy, and everybody was so happy to have the Springboks in town. And the thing that rugby has done is given the country so much hope.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the diversity of the side, if you look at the performance of the side, of what they stand for, it's just amazing that sport does have the power to change a country's outlook. And so it's just beautiful for me what this team stands for, and the purpose of this is giving hope, being stronger together, and so for me it's this team is a team that and the purpose is hard to emulate from any other world rugby team out there, because our purpose is so strong, and that makes this whole story so beautiful.
Bob's player of the tournament from the Boks.
There's no one else. You can't look past Peter Steff.
I thought you were going to say Frans Malherbe.
No, Peter Steff Detroit. He didn't play against Argentina, but Peter Steff for me is just the guy. Every time he came on, it's just his numbers, his consistency. And
also having to fill in at lock against Australia as well.
And not to drop performance.
Yeah.
And for me, that is a true professional there. Because, first of all, you never see any moaning from him. You never see him shirking away from what effort or whatever sort of responsibility or task he's got. Peter Steff Detroit, I mean, we can mention, I thought
There's so many.
The find of the season for the Springboks, Apelele Fassi.
Ron as well.
Sasha.
Coming as lock.
Yeah, Ruan Nokia.
Yeah.
But
Apelele,
he's been amazing.
He's been exceptional.
When there's a crisis at lock, Fassi has been phenomenal.
Because think about what he's doing now. Think about what he's doing, and the way that, for me, is, if you knew him as a player since Dell College when he was a 10 and 10, 12 player who could come in as on first receiver and distribute and all of that. And to have someone who believes in him, the attacking coaches saying, you know what, we know the role that Vili does, but you can do that. I mean, I know like sometimes stats don't really tell, but when your fullback is making 19 passes, it just shows you how much he's getting involved in the game and distributing, meaning that he's comfortable doing that. For me, you have to have a certain mindset. You have to have someone telling you where to go. I mean, the selflessness again from Vili to give him and show him the ropes of how to be this fullback that South Africa needs. That was brilliant.
Scala player of the tournament for you?
I can't look past PT.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is. But it feels hard to not mention. Like Ox
All
has
the
been
other
phenomenal.
guys,
I
yeah.
mean, Francis is played every game.
Amazing.
Vincent has come on and made a difference. Ron has been when there's a crisis at lock.
But even a guy like Sia coming back from a cheekbone thing at Ellis Park, going back to Cape Town, scoring the opening try.
Just climbing in.
Yeah.
That to me, just the boys, the way they put their bodies on the line. I mean, Jasper Visser.
Yeah.
We can't shake off that he was out for 8 weeks from the suspension.
Red card, yeah.
Fair play to the SNC, because normally what happens is a team, you only need 3 guys out of the 15 to have an off day, and your
it's gone.
Unfortunately, your performance goes down. It feels like this team is just consistently performing at a very high level. And I'm not talking about the scoreboard. I'm talking about their work ethic, their physicality. And even Petit has been struggling with a shoulder for a very long time. Do you not see him protecting that shoulder? No ways, bud. He's climbing in hard. I mean, Damien doing the yards.
Yeah.
Jesse just making the right decisions every time. Lukanya coming in again. Then, I mean, our back three it is beautiful to watch. It's like it is, and if you look at every position we have, there's depth, and there's internal competition, but healthy competition, and you can pick a lot of different guys. Where I think our depth in the past, we always had great rugby players, but maybe just one level or 2 levels deep. Now we've got multiple levels, and now even looking URC, there is some amazing talent coming through. I mean, structurally, I think there's too much rugby. And I know this is off point. There's too much rugby, but from that perspective is with us going north and then playing east and west with the championship, it is, for me, it suits this whole transition from...
It really does.
It does suit South African rugby.
So, Australia, New Zealand. We have to address it. I mean,
you have to think about how Australia started that second Bledisloe.
Yeah.
And that is a positive note. To think that you can go to Wellington and front up perfectly and be physical. I mean, they were sprinting from the gate, right? And they showed what they're capable of. But now it's a matter of, do you have the cattle to constantly put the right numbers, the right energy
question,
to it?
They're a 50-minute team now. I mean, they need to stay in the fight for 50 minutes and almost feel like, I hope we've done enough, because eventually you're going to get run off the pitch.
But don't you think it's their substitutes or bomb squad coming in? It is depth. They don't have the depth. For me, I was actually thinking about New Zealand. So the All Blacks, you always expect them to win every game, or that's
been the prerequisite.
Yes. So I was thinking, okay, what would they take, and what would Australia take out of this championship? Like Argentina, they beat New Zealand away. They've beaten us at home. They gave Australia
into
Australia. Gave them 40. They should be happy, and they were actually playing for the trophy. Yeah. So that's self-explanatory. Then you look at New Zealand, new coach. It's going to take time for them to get used to Razor, his way of thinking. He lost McDonald during the tournament. That was a big loss, I guess, for him or the team. But those players are going to get used to it. They showed some inkling of the old All Blacks, or they've got the talent. Australia started very badly, and I think everyone will take a positive out of it. Joe Schmidt will go at the end. We showed some heart. We showed some pride in this tournament, and it's something. Remember, there's another 3 years to go before the World Cup, so it is. I think everyone will take something positive out of this.
I think the Australians, talking to what I was saying, how they started. Yes, we're saying now at the moment that they don't have the depth, but what they've done is exposed players into the high competition, high level rugby. So by doing that, you're doing yourself a whole lot of good, because now you can build that onto that experience with the end of the year tour. Because all of a sudden now the players in that squad, they've got set standards that they have to meet because of what Joe Schmidt is trying to push. They've exposed players into that level. For New Zealand, similar thing. Even for the players, I mean, that start I was talking about Australia, vice versa to the New Zealanders, they showed that they got grit. They worked hard. They didn't concede as much tries or points in that situation. So Titi, Wallace Titi, come on,
No, he's
stand up
class.
because the boy can.
He can play.
He's a brute of an 8.
Should he
But
start?
as a 6,
Wallace Atiti, should he start above Ardi?
No,
I think it's an 8. I think it's an 8.
Or
I
do you
think,
put Ardi on
Ardi on
flank?
7.
first of all, we have to say congratulations to Sam Kane too.
Yeah.
As a Centurion, I mean, it's massive honor for him to have gone through. I mean, to have had all those red cards and all those things. To have pushed all the way, neck
injury.
injuries,
Yeah.
and but I think Ardi Sevilla is a 7. The intensity and the energy that he puts, yes, is great with the pick and go and the leg drive, but then you don't see the similar sort of like massive impact that normal 8s do on the carry when they have to run, when they have to make stop tackles. He loves a tackle and go for the steal. A tackle and go for the steal is not a dominant hit.
The only reason why I think they play him at 8 is because he plays in the wider channels. They play with a 2 in the wide channel and the 8 the wider channel. If he gets space, he's deadly. So I don't know why. When he played 7, he was deadly as well. But they're 7 or how can I say 1 to 7? They play more on the inside, and we do it. The Springboks not really, but I mean they've always played with
the proper open side flank, and a 6 and an 8. But for me, where Ardi is great over the ball. Ardi is great at foraging. Ardi is great at clearing and being in those situations where he's out wide, not to keep him wide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you lose out on the energy that he brings onto the game.
It's almost like you mentioned the same thing about Peter Steff earlier.
Yeah.
Like if you play him on the outside, you kind of lose that ability to make dominant hits.
You want the guy to be in the game, but you as a player, you have to have that patience to execute and know what is your role. And Ardi has done that. I mean, not taking nothing from him, but I think that at 7, you have so much more impact. Then you can loosen up the other 2 positions. Then you can have proper people who like play at number 8, who can give you that number 8 sort of look. And Satiti is going to be a problem.
He's going to be a handful.
He's going to be a problem. He's going to be hard to handle in the future.
We've got Scotland, England, and Wales at the end of the year. Scotland and Wales, rebuilding phase, whatever the case may be. And we know we're not going to put a lot of emphasis on we would like to win those games, but I mean, it is what it is.
The one thing the public didn't want to see, they probably wanted to see England. Of course, you always want to play England, France, and Ireland.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to see that.
When are we going for one of those again?
Next year.
Is it next year?
We've got France next year, that I know. But I mean, England is going to be a big one, mid-November.
Yeah.
That's a proper
Scotland
measurement.
First, then England.
Scotland, England, Wales, yeah.
Wales. It's yeah. For me, it's easy to say. I think England's a big one.
Yeah.
I think Scotland will be tougher than Wales, where the group setup is or the team confidence is. I think this is just a prediction. I think he'll rotate with Scotland first, then he'll go best team against England, and then he'll rotate with Wales again.
I'm looking at this end of your tour as we can never be caught again like we did in Argentina.
Yeah.
You know, like we must watch out for bananas like slips and peels on the ground, meaning that the standards has been set.
Yeah.
The Springbok team is not competing against anyone besides themselves and what their standard is and where they want to push it, which is a great place to be. Against Scotland, you want to expose a lot of players into an environment of playing at Murrayfield because it's an intense, it's a cauldron. It's a place where, you know what I mean, the Scottish people will never think or give you a win. You have to fight for it. You have to still earn it. So Wales, again, Twickenham is going to be, I mean, it's changed now to, what is it called? Allianz Stadium. But even that is going to be intense. Wales, I mean, that Millennium Stadium, when they start singing, it's an experience for your player because you don't get that every day. I think Rusty wants to expose as many players into that environment, and it gives a chance for everyone else to clean up their little shoulder injuries and all the other things that they do have hanging about. This is an opportunity for a younger, sometimes I think most young players want to get a shot of playing in those big arenas away from home where you have to step up and front up.
It was, apart from Ireland not playing and still getting the world #1 ranking, Ireland found a way to get themselves in the news this week as well. Johnny Sexton talking about his final test, that quarterfinal against New Zealand in the World Cup. A tough one to lose, and I mean, Johnny would have given it the big one while the game was on, but he said afterwards that Rico Ioane came up to him and told him not to miss his flight, and not the most polite way to say it.
See you next Tuesday.
And Johnny said so much for the no arseholes policy in the All Black team, because clearly there's a couple of them. Talk to me about a moment like that. Have you experienced something on the pitch where you thought, oh, I thought you were a nice guy?
I won't lie. I'll be honest on this one. I played a game against the Cheetahs. I think it was a semi-final, Currie Cup or whatever. And one of the mates, Marius, MJ, Juba, takes Keegan Daniels off his feet. I mean, he jumps and he just tackles him high, and I'm thinking I saw red.
Yeah.
I went into Marius. I gave him a verbal, and at the end, he's like, I never knew you thought that about me. And then I was like, oh, wait, sorry, man. I didn't mean it like that. It's just that don't do that to me. But it happens in the game, but it was the spur of the moment in the game. When it happens afterwards, when you're walking, it does leave a bit of a bitter taste in your mouth, especially as the one receiving it, because it just means that's what you have thought of me as a character, and that's how you sort of respect what I've put out in this game.
I mean, Johnny played 100 tests for Ireland. He's been a competitor. But I mean, I remember that game in Dublin when he was so fired up the first game, and however long that they beat the All Blacks and out of,
he's been a thorn.
He's been there, and he's had a bit to say. So, I mean, he would have been up on the team board a couple of times in the All Blacks dressing room. Sculler?
My personal opinion on that is you leave everything on the pitch, and then you have a beer afterwards. But the question, a lot of those players don't have the same viewpoint that I had. It is, unfortunately, the question must be posed, what did he do before the final test match?
Yeah.
In the 100 test matches he did play. It's how, like, we can compare this to way back when we started playing. You didn't have beers with the opposition. You played against them and you didn't see them, you didn't socialize with them, you didn't know the guy. You just
didn't follow him on Instagram.
No, you just wanted to kick the living crap out of him, and vice versa. Then you started having beers with the guys, and there's some of the guys that, my personal opinion with the All Black boys is they love a beer afterwards, have a chat. What happened on the pitch happened on the pitch. So from that perspective, I haven't had a beer with him, so I couldn't say.
Did you and Akka have a beer after that game?
We actually had a beer while the game was going on. so I mean, the Angry Warthog gave me a proper thumping. So then we both got sent off. Then we went into the change room. I thought there's going to be a TV. And I took 2 beers with. We sat there, had a beer, and then I'm like, okay, fine. I still want to watch the game. Where's the TV? No, there's no TVs in the change room. Walked outside. Then as I walked up with my Bulls kit, I walked up and I got a boo from the crowd. And a guy's like, boo. And he said, can I have a beer? And then sculpted the beer and then sat down and everybody was happy and I watched a bit of rugby. But it's never nice to get a card to say cheers. And then I got 6 weeks. And I got
6 weeks for that. Game's gone soft.
Shocking.
Game's gone soft.
It was for downing a beer whilst wearing a jersey, supposed to be have been playing a game. Before the game was over, you're busy showing the kids irresponsible actions and acting out like a little child.
You gotta be a role model, Sculler. You gotta be a role model. Talking about under 12 rugby.
That's the only thing I can get the crowd on my side, Bobs. I was either going to get a thumping or I thought, and I can count, there's a lot of shot supporters or I have a beer.
There's a bunch of guys are going to be going back to their unions for the URC, started last weekend as well. Why can't South African teams tour early in the season? The Stormers and the Sharks just didn't come back.
The one question I've got is, talking about earlier point, is rest.
Yeah.
When is the players going to rest? In the UK, I think you have to have compulsory 6 or
8 weeks.
6 or 8 weeks. where's the players going to get a rest into this whole?
They said that they'll have strategic points where players of interest will be given time off. They are guaranteed 8 weeks off, but it's going to happen in different spurts. So it could be 3 weeks here, 3 weeks there. So you have to measure. So most of the other players, you probably see that they won't tour because they've had so much game time, maybe from the Springboks. And then when they come back, they'll play a certain sort of amount of games. It is something that is still being trialed because it's not a perfect thing at the moment. I mean, for rugby to be a professional game, being so physical and so much attrition that happens, there has to be a definitive break
I
where
agree.
everyone can know this time we're all off, because it's all about switching off. If you get given 3 weeks, you thinking that player who's in your position is doing well, you'll be stressed out, trying to get fitter, trying to do all the extras so that you can get in there.
You don't ever
doesn't give you a break.
It doesn't give you 2 weeks as well. So I can remember getting those breaks, except the 6-week break for Banchen.
For that small
For
incident.
this incident. But they say, okay, you've got a 2-week break, Bobes.
But you
Okay,
must come.
have a week off, and then the next week
Yeah.
you're in for off-feed fitness or other fitness. So you get away the 1 week, and the other week you're back into it. So you're not literally getting away from the game. I think the big thing is, my biggest fear is the mental fatigue of the whole thing. Back to the URC, well, travel, that will take time. For me, it's we creating depth again.
Yeah.
Guys, it's playing that. Look, the Sharks had a great start. They could have won it. The Stormers struggled, and the rest played all right.
It just shows you, this URC, how important. You got 9 games at home or within your country. Those are your points. Those are like, you have to make sure that you win those 9, because
and then pick 1 or 2 up.
and then
right?
to qualify, and then to get yourself into the playoffs. If you can give yourself 13 wins, so you got 9, and then you have to go fight for the next 4 wins away from home.
Because that's the Investec Champions Cup, you can't get a home semi-final, final, quarter-final. That's the only time when the unit can make money and the players can play at home, quarter-finals, semi-finals, and finals.
And it's something important to not just lose games, to get bonus points away from home, because those all collect up when it comes to playoffs. So teams have to start thinking strategically, okay, if we are in the game, we can't not lose. If we haven't scored the 4 tries, we have to make sure that we don't lose within.
So the Sharks
certain
got their
bonds.
1 point against Connacht, which
You know
is
what I
good.
mean? Which is always going to, you will take that. I know it sounds like, you will take that if you said to me, I'll give you a 1 point somewhere.
Did you see the kicks again?
Jordan bomb launcher.
Twice.
He's an astronaut.
Yes.
That is special.
I mean, launches, man.
But I mean, doing that in the Currie Cup final, and then off you go to Ireland.
His confidence, though, doesn't he talk to that? It's talking to the confidence, talks about the environment, how the people have accepted him.
Could you imagine how many windows broke at the Hendrickson household when those 2 were kids?
Yeah.
The way they kick a ball.
Good bunch, those 2 boys.
Yeah, they're good boys. For the rest of the season, it was a good start for the Lions, good start for the Bulls. The Bulls, it was an interesting game, the Bulls, but I mean, you bank the points and you carry on. And it's like you mentioned, a home game. You take the points and carry on with the rest of the season.
Hanekom is playing well. Oh my
doesn't
goodness.
stop.
So, once again, I look at that game and I think this kid can. Well, he's not a kid,
isn't he?
He is so ready.
He is. He's bringing it. I mean, it's just a.
He is so ready.
And the crazy thing is, if you'd have said to the Bulls a year and a half ago, you're going to lose Elrich to the Boks for 6 weeks ahead of the URC and in the Currie Cup, they'd have thought, gee, we might be a little bit slim here.
We're running thin.
And now you got Cam Hanekom coming in.
And you got Stoll Masal, you got Telimpulu Kumede, you got all of these
And
players.
you got a guy like Nizam Kar as experienced that he brings to the table as well.
No, you know, one thing that was actually interesting, speaking to Jacob about it on Saturday, he was like, last year, I didn't have as many Springboks. This year, I've got 9 Springboks missing in my camp. And I've got a full starting team that is out here. And yes, they struggle, but then he could call upon Masal to sort of hold the team down when he needed his experience so that it can get over the line. And he was like, what is important and the difference between this year and last year is that kind of game they could have lost this time because of experience and the players being exposed to that experience. And having the Caden Moody's, I mean, that quick line out was stroke of genius, right? 50-22 quick play. Ooh, no one has
Massive.
thought of that. And then at the end of the post, and that flips the whole game because it's a 100-meter turnaround of a score. And for me, when Jake sort of put out those into the light, I was like, actually, brilliant. The bullseye into that building process. And yes, it's supposed to be teething. You can't just come on and start running in your first game. Yeah, a bit jittery and a bit of first game nerves and all of that. But a W is a W at home, man.
Yeah.
The Stormers couldn't get it done against Ospreys. That would sting a little bit because you're looking at the URC. You're thinking it's not the hardest start you can have to the season.
Don't hate on that Ospreys. They came and
No.
showed the Lions something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they showed a few teams last year, a few
Yeah.
things. I mean, you've been in the side that you played against old Booth, the coach. He comes across as a very genuine guy.
Toby's good for team morale.
Yeah, he comes across as a good team morale. I mean, every time, even when he loses, he looks at it as in a philosophical way, like, what a great time to bond over a loss. Because now we can actually get to the things that we wanted to talk about so that we can move on. So that is, to me,
Did the Stormers start badly last year as well?
Most of
I
the
think they
time,
started against
last year
Connacht
it was
last
their
year.
worst
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things you have to find a way of how to sell that first start or even that first tour when you have to get out of South Africa. You have to find a way to make it like a thing. Instead of, you have to make those building blocks and say, okay, fine, the first 3 games of the season, we are away from home. This is what we want to target. This is what we want to get. This is our theme for it. This is where you have to make it exciting for the boys. It's going to be terrible travel. So it's no excuses, whatever policy.
It's actually the best time to travel.
It's the best time.
I mean, come now. I don't have to convince you to tour.
No, I love to it.
Down for a
But
tour.
I can tell you in November, December, Jan, Feb, playing rugby in the Northern Hemisphere, it is cold, it is wet, it's
horrendous.
It's not ideal.
It's basically Cape Town at the moment.
Cape Town is cold. There's snow on the mountains, so it is freezing.
Gentlemen, 2 questions before we wrap up. Well, one is a double-ended question. Team to watch from the South African URC teams. Who do you reckon is going to be the team that gets it done? They don't have to win the thing.
Lions. I think Lions to get into the playoff would be important for South Africa. We need all 4 teams in the playoff so that we can all be in the Investor Cup. I think the Lions.
Because that also pushes the narrative of having knockout games in South Africa.
Exactly.
Well, I feel the Sharks is going to surprise because they had the talent.
Yeah.
Something clicked. Maybe it's just confidence or I don't know what's internally going on, but they are playing better. And the Lions has always had a soft spot in my heart. It is the kids that the other provinces don't want. That is trying
Island of misfit toys a little bit. Yeah.
It's almost like Connacht in Ireland, 100%. It's like people getting opportunity. They're there to show that they can mix it with the big boys. And I mean, they got to the semi-final of the Currie Cup, or calling Currie Cup. And for me, I hope really, I'm the same viewpoint. If whatever team you support, if they play against any team abroad, support our local boys because we want them to all succeed.
I think the thing about the Sharks, the Sharks, we're all expecting.
Yeah.
So I can't even mention it because
at some point they got to come right.
There is so much pressure already into that setup because of what they have as a franchise, and there's so many people.
And they've also proven that if they get to the big game, they can get the job done.
They can get the job done. So you can't even say that you want them to improve because you expect them to.
Yeah. Scala, which player in the URC are you looking at going, if you're sitting at home on a Saturday afternoon, watch him. He's going to get the job done somehow.
I really do hope Marnie brings it together for the Stormers. It's a combination of Sasha as well, Damien being back on the pitch. But for me, is Cameron Hanekom.
Yeah.
For me, it's seeing that kid evolve to what he, being that young.
Yeah.
And then having our old boys back, all the players coming back to South Africa. My boys want to watch our Springboks and our future Springboks live.
Yeah.
And if they're playing abroad, I do understand from a financial perspective and from experience seeing the world, that's great. But it's amazing seeing them back in a as Sharks, Stormers, Bulls,
Bulls,
Lions, jerseys.
Bob's local player to watch.
Local player to watch. I think Cam is one. Cameron Honeycomb, but there's so much. Some youngsters at the Lions. Q1 Horn, Ruan Fenter.
Yeah.
He's a brute. And then at the Sharks, I'm looking to see how Jordan expresses himself and actually grows into what is becoming quite a potent Sharks team.
Well, just on the Sharks, with Fussy, he surprised me when he put that green and gold on. He's like,
Brave.
I've heard he was a phenomenal athlete. He's a great rugby player. Sometimes the performance was like that with the Shark shirt on. I hope that kind of performance he showed, because I think he surprised most supporters. He was phenomenal. He was physical. His running was hard. I mean, that try that he scored.
Oh, no.
When
he just took so many people on.
So for me, I hope there is consistency in that kind of performance.
I think for the Sharks, the challenge of putting it all together, with all the experience and all of the sort of expected to do well Springboks, if the Sharks become successful, it will show you the lessons learned over the last 2 years or last 3 years of URC.
Yeah. And Dion Fourie coming back, the oldest.
The old dog is coming back.
And Dion, come on.
Come on. One more thing we need to wrap up. We've picked our greatest ever Bok 15, and we've mentioned a couple of players that we want to put on the bench. The greatest ever Bok Bomb Squad. Let's leave the front row out of it, because that's a mandatory pick.
Yeah.
I want 2 backline players from you, Mr. Bobo and Mr. Brits, 2 forwards. On the Bomb Squad.
Can he go as far back as Brent Russell? Can you remember Brent Russell when he back in the day?
The original pocket rocket.
Yeah.
You know who else? Especially in the loose forwards.
Yeah.
Bob Skinstead.
He was.
Don't make each other's picks.
No, 100%. Can you remember the game? Was this against Australia? When he did this?
Even against and then he gave the tongue.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Iconic moment. Okay, Bobes, 2 backline players. Let's go. You're here. You look at me here.
This is not the Bomb Squad. It's the 3-4.
How many we putting up there? Is it
So we're putting a front. We're putting a. We're going 5-2. So we've got a front row plus 2 forwards.
So our scrum off was Fourie, the starter.
Yep.
On the bench, Grant Williams.
I like that.
Because he can play on the wing and cover every other position. Right?
Greatest ever off the bench? Greatest 9 we've had off the bench?
Off the bench. Who is it?
I'm asking you.
That's why I'm saying Grant Williams.
Okay, plus 1.
Then my 10, we had 100.
Why do you pick a 10? Well, Damien you have to pick someone who's going to go.
Damien Willemse.
Damien is phenomenal.
Done.
Double World Cup.
Double World Cup.
And Sasha for the future. Well, they're both future.
Scala 2 forwards. Kwacha's one of them.
Kwacha, I would say Bobes. Not this Bobes. No.
Big moment.
Yeah.
Big moment for the party.
Bobby Skinstead.
Yeah.
I would definitely put it up there. RG Snyman.
Special.
I mean, he can play. He hasn't played flank yet, but I mean,
but he can easily walk in.
He can easily walk in.
It can be your 8.
Yeah.
Plus, we've got Peter Stev as our greatest ever 7, so we've got that versatility already going on there.
I'll pick myself at 2. 2 8s and 14. I played. Can you remember when I played wing for the Stormers?
I remember even when we wanted to use you as a 10 to attack the blind side and all of that. So
no, I'm joking.
Did you ever have a coach Scala that said, "Please,
the funniest,
please just calm it down"?
No, the funniest bit was Rassi saying that he can stop Scala within the 5. Cheap as you embarrassed him. Yeah. Because I don't think he touched you once. Yeah. And then he was like, you know what, my knees are not good. But that's a kind of.
But he was open.
But what I'm trying to get to is how the Bomb Squad has actually changed how we look at the game, because now on the bench you need players who are quite versatile, and that's where we're going to. So for any player out there who's trying to get yourself into any squad, especially World Cup or even any team,
versatility,
it's not a bad thing, because before, it used to be one of those things players used to say, no, he has to choose. He has to make a choice. Yeah. But now you can actually have a longer career. And you can hustle.
Well, yeah.
You'll be on the bench, Stella. It's okay. Can hold you
We'll put you on the bench with a beer. There
That's
we go.
it. I mean-
Okay. Well, that's been episode 9 of The Good, The Bad, The Rugby South Africa. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and search GBRSA wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be there, and we can't wait to hear from you. That's episode 9. Goodbye.